From the gridiron to the diamond, this is more than X's and O's. This is your best Florida sports podcast with CBS 12 News sports director John Evenson and producer extraordinaire Sam Sullivan.
Welcome back to episode 11.
As much as I love that theme song, which we promised Max would be in it this week.
I know. Sources close to the situation say next week is a go.
And sources close to the situation say there may be a theme song change because Max.
It's time to hit it, isn't it? It's time to hit it. 2 weeks in a row.
There it is. Now I'm listening to this. I love it. It hypes the crowd up. But why is this such an old-timey song? They haven't made a new Dolphins song that's stuck since 1947.
Well, I also feel like this is like one of those, like they feel like it's a classic. It's kind of like Top Gun, you know, they wanted to try to redo the Top Gun theme song.
No.
And they're like, nah, we're not doing that. So I feel like this is like the classic that they don't want to change.
I feel like if that was our theme song, we would have to come out of it and be like, this week's episode of Best Florida Sports Podcast is brought to you by Ovaltine and Camel Cigarettes.
Where the mic's coming from up top. Yeah, like a Bruce Buffer or something like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'd be wearing some fancy clothes and a nice hat. Yeah, go ahead.
Continue on this track.
Talking about Vegas. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Oh, yes, right there is the road to 6-6 is clearer than ever, isn't it? A win over the Patriots. They should beat the Pats, right? Although we'll get into it. It's not going to be all that easy. But that Thanksgiving game against the Packers is looking sexy.
Super large considering where the Dolphins were and where they are now.
You were thinking about saying sexy, but you didn't do it.
No, that's your
Makes
thing.
you wonder what the season would have looked like with the healthy Tua. I mean, it really makes you think what this season would
Of course it does.
Because there's a lot of teams that the Dolphins played that they were favored against, and they lost without him.
Well, this could be one of those non-conference games that could decide first place in the AFC East if all went well with the Dolphins' schedule. And obviously Tua.
Well, and obviously they have to beat the Patriots first before we get to
We're
that
jumping
next.
a little ahead. We're jumping ahead.
But that
Is this a trap game?
no, there's no way that it's a trap game because the Dolphins know the corner that they've painted themselves into, and they're well aware that they're not out of that corner until they start stringing some wins together. Yeah. So anyway, the offense, though, guys.
Yes.
A lot of talk this week, or coming out of that game especially, because it was, those six of 7 drives, those long drives that took almost an entire quarter.
Oh, my God.
6 of the 7 of those drives came out of there with points. No long, flashy passes to Tyreek and Waddle, but man, were they ever effective with those drives and Jonnu and Achane and all that stuff.
I think it's a little bit surprising, especially when we talk about the drives, right? There's 2 drives in the first quarter. Yeah. Just 2. First drive for Miami, 17 plays, took 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Then the Raiders get the ball, 14 plays, 6 minutes and 39 seconds. That's your entire first quarter.
Yeah.
And then obviously the next possession for Miami to start the second, 17 plays, 8:22.
Mm-hmm.
Is it becoming to the point where maybe this is becoming the new Miami Dolphins offense and a little bit of the less flash, explosive plays downfield?
What do you have to say about that, Sam?
I think that's how it should be because you can build off of that throughout a game by sustaining these long drives. It's pretty tough for you to, kind of contain or build success when you're just doing, flashy play after flashy play. It's exciting, yes, and it can get the team riled up, but there's nothing to really build off of besides that one play. You don't really know what works or doesn't work against your opponent.
And kudos to Mike McDaniel because, albeit a few weeks too late, but he really did simplify that offense to the point you don't see all that play action and crazy stuff going on. It's just put your heads down little by little, get down the field, whatever is available to Tua. Tua's, maybe it took him a couple weeks to get back into it, but he's looking down. Like, he is looking down for sure. Like, if that defense all hits up into the 10 or 20 yards in front of him, he's going to go deep. But that just hasn't been what's happening. Tyreek and Waddle thoroughly covered, and you got Jonnu there, big Jonnu Smith. You've got Achane, who's just like eating it up. Like he's been the biggest, he's been the biggest beneficiary of all.
Well, like you said, I think like a lot of it now is Tua is taking what the defense is giving him. He's not forcing it deep to.
He said the same thing today.
Right,
Yep.
and I have it here. He's completed almost 78% of his passes in the 4 games since he's returned. So, and again, a lot of that is dumped down the field. And, in a lot of OC's minds, you work that part of the field and then the explosive plays come. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the drives that they pulled off on Sunday, maybe that's just the new 2 away.
And finally, this was the Sunday where I put Jonnu Smith into my tight end position there. And I was nervous doing it. All right. But, oh my gosh, he became the first Dolphin ever, first tight end ever to wear aqua and orange, who had over 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in a single game. And the coolest story of the week, guys, this is just crazy. How does this happen?
This is probably like 1 in a billion chance of it happening.
You know what I'm going to say?
Absolutely.
And he just scores a touchdown randomly.
He has no idea. He just chucks the ball up in the air, no clue.
Into his kid's lap. Into his son's lap, and not just in the second row, way up in the
right.
He had no idea where they were sitting. That is divine intervention right there. That was magical, meant to be moment.
Out of all the Dolphins tight ends that we've seen over the years, obviously the Mike Gesicki's of the world, I think Jonnu is, granted, first year here, he's only played 11 games. Do you think that he is quickly becoming maybe the best overall Dolphins tight end ever?
This is like your game that we did.
Oh, we got games later. Buddy.
That was one breakout performance, but I don't think he's quite there yet. But he'll never, the record that I mentioned earlier will forever be there. But what do you think of, is it going to be a different guy every week, Sam?
I really think it could be sustainable for Jonnu Smith. I think that's something that Tua has really kind of brought into his game, since getting this big contract, is not, like we mentioned, not relying on that deep ball and those flashy plays. Using your tight end for the check down and being able to really expand this offense.
Did you hear that? My chair, listen. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't hear it again.
That was about as squeaky as the Raiders' defense on Sunday.
Before we get to Travis Wingfield, the best tight end in Dolphins history is now and forever will be Joe Rose.
Okay. Yeah, you can't ever.
There's no argument there.
No.
Joe Rose is the best.
Joe, he's just sucking up so he can come interview this week.
Number 2.
I kid you not. All right, well, another guy down there, Travis Wingfield, he is a super intelligent dude who follows the Dolphins as closely as anybody.
We love those guys.
Yep, here's his take. I'm here with Travis Wingfield, of course, from the YouTube show Dolphins HQ, the podcast Drive Time. We all listen to it. You're like the Chat GPT, I think, of Dolphins knowledge, because you take in so much here, and I know you're like a computer. The things that you see are just stuff that the rest of us chumps who come by once or twice a week don't quite notice.
Yeah, I only have room in my memory for Dolphins information, maybe a little bit of pop culture as well, but if I have to find where the keys are, for instance, for my wife, I'm useless.
There's no brain room left for that
right.
stuff.
That's exactly right. It's all taken up by useless football information.
Well, we have been noticing, and everyone's been talking about this morphed offense. It took a few weeks, but we saw some long, sustained drives in that victory over the Raiders. I think 6 of 7 of the drives ended in points, which is great. We're not seeing those big splashy plays from Tyreek or Waddle quite yet the way we've gotten used to, but McDaniel and Tua have something going on here, and you've noticed something particular in Tua at practice.
Yeah, a point of emphasis for the team this year was to have those longer drives, like you mentioned, going back to training camp with Tyreek Hill, being very upfront about that point. And I look at the quarterback position and a guy that's been making plays outside of structure, which was kind of something that he wanted to work on coming into this year, because last year the Dolphins were so good on structure, getting those explosive plays over the middle of the field. But Tua, with that weight gain, maybe wasn't as elusive as he had been in the past. But if you go look at the stats right now, number 1 in throws outside of the pocket, number 1 in throws on the move. He's literally the best playmaking quarterback by the numbers right now that you can have out there. And if you watch him come out here at practice, he frequently works on his ability to throw with his cleats out of the ground, throwing on the move with kind of the feet kicking up in the air where he's not connected to the ground, which usually generates a less bit of power in your throwing, but he's worked on that really, really well this offseason and into the year. And I think it's had a big impact on his ability to make plays on those third and long situations where it's not going right. He breaks the pocket and finds one of his receivers.
Do you think this is something that was even emphasized more for him from the time that he spent out with the concussion, watching from the sideline, kind of being like a semi-coach with Coach McDaniel, where he was able to widen his visual horizon of what this offense could be?
Players often talk about when they do get injured, the ability to kind of step back and see it from a bird's eye view. So I would assume that was going on for him a little bit. But I do think back in training camp, remember the last couple of years of training camp, it was all about these long plays of Tyreek Hill. The fans here are going crazy every single day. We didn't really have that this year. I think it was because the focus and emphasis was those short passes. Take advantage of the space on the perimeter that's kind of opened up because of all the coverage going back in the middle of the field. They found ways to attack the areas that have been opened because of their past success.
Now, do you think moving forward here with the games that are left, are we going to see more of what we saw against the Raiders? I know each game has a different game plan, but will there be a circumstance where, all the defense comes in between the 10 yards and 20 yards in front of Tua, and we get some of those splashy Tyreek 80-yard touchdowns, Waddle especially. I mean, fantasy owners are dying to know what your answer is going to be on this one.
Yeah, I'm dying to see more of Waddle as well. And actually, if you look at the tape with Waddle, he has been open a lot, but I just think Tua's taking the higher percentage throws, and you kind of read my mind there, because if you look at the way teams have covered the Dolphins, it has lended itself to that shorter passing attack and the check downs, which is kind of like a bad word among fans, but I promise it's not. It's just high-level quarterback play to find the ball in those areas of the field. And if you look at the second half of the Cardinals game, the Buffalo game, the Rams game, I got all four of the games really, you saw the teams react to that, and they kind of got more aggressive, and what happened? They ended up getting burned on the back end with some bigger plays. So I think it's opening up. Teams are going to adjust eventually. Dolphins have to kind of think one step ahead and be ready for that when it happens.
So defensively, shifting over to the defense, we've seen some big plays on defense over the past couple of games, especially in the Rams game. But we still see this a little leaky as far as giving up points. And fourth quarter, I think it was the fourth quarter, we were still wondering, oh gosh, is this going to be another one of those shocking endings? What are you seeing from the defense as far as being able to tighten up even a little bit more?
Yeah, getting Sealer back was so massive for this defensive line because they're so limited right now at the edge group because they just have lost so many pieces out there. And Sealer and Campbell can both kick out wide and play that defensive end position. And when you don't have Sealer, it kind of reduces Campbell's ability to be flexible. He just kind of sets the table for everybody else to do their job better up front. So I think that him getting back has made a big impact. Now, against the Raiders, to your point, they were not able to get off the field on some of those third downs they had. And the Raiders were matching those Dolphins in those long drives, didn't score as many touchdowns, so that's probably the difference in the game there. But I think that just getting everybody back in place, I mean, Kendall Fuller with Ramsey and Cater, they're so flexible on the back end. When they have all their pieces, they're very flexible, but when they miss a couple of those guys, it kind of changes the entire landscape.
All right, Chat GPT, Travis, let's put some, get the computer going there. Who is going to be a name that is going to have a fantastic game? Just one guy who you can see having a great game here coming up against the Patriots.
I'm going to take Jordan Brooks because the Patriots want to run the ball, and he's so adept at getting downhill and making the big plays against the run. But also Drake May will put the ball in harm's way, and if you can kind of create some pressure on him and force some off-platform throws, he'll give you chances to take it away. I think that Brooks has been very close a couple of times the last couple of weeks. I think this week he gets one.
All right, Dolphins HQ is where you hear Travis. Also, Drive Time. Is that every day, Monday through Friday?
5 days a week, Drive Time HQ every Thursday on the Dolphins YouTube channel.
And this week's podcast, one of your favorites.
Yeah, John Smith is going to be on the show, and also the podcast this week talking about Tua's progression as a creator and playmaker is a big part of the show this week.
Is it crazy with the football landing right in his son's lap? What are the chances?
Divine intervention. It has to be.
What were in your computer head, what were the chances of that happening?
Less than 0.3%.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, if Travis is the Chat GPT, I would say, Sam, you are the Alexa of information.
Okay.
Is that
Alexa? Give us some stats on the Dolphins run game.
Is that patronizing or patronizing?
I did put that on my own personal social media, and they did agree with me that it's patronizing.
Hold on, Alexa, is it patronizing or patronizing? I don't have an answer for that. All right. Well, we can't.
All right. Well, I guess
Something we do have an answer for this Dolphins team to kind of build on is their run game. I think it's something that we've kind of seen dip off a little bit in the past.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of 100-yard performances strung together, and then lately, not so much. This last one, I don't know what the yardage was.
Man had 17 rushes, 73 yards, and a touchdown.
And this has a lot to do with, they lost Austin Jackson.
Yeah,
for the season, right? Kendall Lamb did a great, Max Crosby. Him and Max, you've got
Max Crosby, blank slate, 0 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 pressures.
It's a rarity.
That
Teron Armstead and Kendall Lamb did an amazing job.
Heck yeah.
We talked about this last week, how much of a difference Max Crosby can make. And they completely neutralized him from the play sheet.
I thought you were going to say nuked.
Or nuked him. They nuked him.
But
off the face of the planet.
It would help to get unsung hero guys. That's an awesome thing to bring up. Alec Ingold as well. I think he's been out. I forget how many games he's been out now. He may still be out until the Green Bay game, to be honest. We'll see if he comes back for the Patriots. But they could use him. He really is, as far as the blocking aspect goes, the blocking fullback, that would help the running game a lot as well. And we were just talking, we don't usually talk during the analyst, but we were talking back and forth a little bit about how Mostert, it'd be nice if he could step it up as well.
It would be, considering how huge of a season he had last year. It's kind of surprising to see the way that things have played out with him. Of course, we knew that HM was going to have this bigger role coming into this season, in both the run and pass game. But to have Mostert really, be able to step up and kind of add on to that 1-2 punch would be, pivotal for this team.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the Ingold injury affects Raheem more than Achane. Because personally, we know that Raheem runs between the tackles, hard runner.
Downhill.
Achane is able to get more to the outside, so I think Mike McDaniel has a better chance, does better calling those outside runs with Achane. So I think, part of the reason for Mostert's non-success lately has been Alec Ingold having that extra body go through the hole, get to the second level of the linebackers, so that way Raheem gets to the safeties and corners, and it's a one-on-one matchup between those guys, and Raheem's more than likely going to win that match.
And second time I've said it in for a different reason this time. Kudos to Mike McDaniel, because part of the reason you're not seeing as much from Mostert is that accountability thing. He had some dropsies, a couple fumbles there, and McDaniel normally would just keep pushing through with his favorites and stuff, but he kind of pulled back a little bit on Mostert in some of his play calling, and that's probably the direct reason why he's holding people more accountable than he used to.
Yes, I totally agree.
All right. Where are we going to now, Samo?
I think on the flip side,
yeah, right.
On the flip side, bit of a down week for the Dolphins defense, even though when you really look at the stats, only allowing 60 rushing yards from the Raiders. But Brock Bowers,
we talked about it last week, dude.
He had, a you want to talk about historical games for tight ends. I didn't realize that tight end day was, twice this season, but Brock Bowers, 13 receptions, 126 yards, and a touchdown. As a rookie, that they did not have an answer for him at all.
Well, and again, last week he entered this game leading all tight ends in receiving yards. Then you compile this. The linebackers, for sure, Jordan Brooks had a rough day trying to cover Brock Bowers.
I could tell you, going into the locker room after, you could tell that the most of the defensive guys were pretty salty when you were talking to them.
Well,
I won't name names.
Well, it's also tough because, again, you look at the Raiders' offense, you got Jacoby Myers and then Brock Bowers, and really that's about it. Obviously, Tucker had a couple of big catches throughout the game, but your main focus point is stop Brock Bowers. And granted, they didn't do that. They still came away with the win. But seeing what Brock Bowers can do to this defense can be a little trouble.
Yeah, our defense has had some big plays over the past couple of games, especially obviously in that Rams game. There was a bunch of sacks and turnovers and stuff like that. But they still are giving a little leaky as far as giving up points. They gave up 19 to the Raiders. Yeah. And even in the fourth quarter again, mid fourth quarter, you were still thinking oh my gosh, this could still turn into a disaster, Yeah. So I know the defense would like to make it less palm sweaty for Dolphin fans and not put the offense into the position to have to score some late ones.
Well, shout out Chop. We've been talking about him the past couple of weeks. He had a career high 6 pressures. And he has the 6th most pressures in the NFL since week 5. So again, as he keeps developing and going on, he just keeps getting better. So it's good to see that.
And on top of that, with Chop Robinson, somebody that he's learned from, Calais Campbell getting another sack. I mean, I didn't realize that Miami was the fountain of youth.
Yep.
Him, completely just flipping the page, as well as Jonnu Smith. So, yeah, it's been big.
Calais Campbell, awesome. The guy was offered $2 million in the offseason, the cheapest of all the offers and he just came here because he believed in this team. Another reason, do it for Calais Campbell. Let's make the playoffs for Calais Campbell because he went out on a limb for the Miami Dolphins, and he's putting it all out there as a 38-year-old.
Zach Sealer doing well, too.
You're putting it all out there as a 38-year-old as well, Max.
I'm 32, but thank you.
Sorry, got ahead of myself there.
Anyways, I know you talked to a player one-on-one today.
Oh, I most certainly did. Thank you for reminding me. Who was it? I don't even remember. Can you remind me who it was? Oh, Malik Washington, the Rook.
Obviously, you see how much preparation.
So speaking of this offense where anything goes, he is benefiting from that. He had a touchdown a couple of games ago, and he's heavily involved in the offense. Let's hear from the rookie. I'm here with Malik Washington, and there's been a lot of talk, Malik, about this kind of new look offense with these long, sustaining drives, very successful in the last game. How does it feel to be part of in your young career, to be part of an offense like this one where sky's the limit for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew coming in, and when I got drafted, man, we have all the pieces to be a great offense. They've been a great offense in the past couple of years with explosive plays, and then now we're putting together big drives. We're driving down the field, taking time off the clock, and scoring at the end of the day. I don't think we had a punt last game, so we're evolving, we're getting better each and every week.
Tyreek, I think head coach Mike McDaniel has said that, Tyreek, even though the numbers and the stats aren't there, he's having one of the most effective seasons with everything in perspective as far as what he brings to this team and what he allows to happen. Can you shed some light on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think when you cut on the film and you see Tyreek block and the way he's being so effective in the run game, it adds a whole different element to his game. We already know the plays he can make. So he can go down the field and score in an instant. But, the things he's doing without the ball in his hands is changing the offense for us.
And we got to see McDaniel just, change this playbook drastically through this season. Can you give some perspective as to just the mad scientist that he is, like the stuff that you experience with him, not only in practice, during film, but on the sideline in game?
Yeah, you could tell how much he loves football by the way that we meet, by the film that he puts up, and the different things that we do, the different nuances we have each and every week, whether it's motion, whether it's this or that. He's always has something on his head that he knows, and he knows it's going to work, and it usually does. And so just following in his footsteps, following whatever he wants, and making it happen on Sundays.
Last one, I was just blown away by this Jonnu Smith thing about him just chucking the ball into the crowd and it landing in his son's lap. What's been the team reaction to that? Because that's pretty miraculous stuff. That's almost magical.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I love that moment for Jonnu, and he deserves every bit of the success he's having right now.
How much does he mean? I know Calais Campbell means a lot to the defenders and stuff like that, but what does Jonnu add just from a personality standpoint to the offense?
Yeah, he's a guy that shows up each and every day, ready to work, and we see that. We see that his work ethic. We see how he attacks the game plan, attacks his job, and I think we all just try to follow enough those footsteps.
It's not very often when you play a division team, obviously twice in a season, that the first matchup is completely different from the second matchup.
Different quarterback match.
First time around, it was Jacoby Brissett.
Dwyer zone.
We need more sound effects, so there's my bicycle horn.
I know we just installed an audio board. We need to add that effect. We're going to leave Brandon in charge of putting that special effect on the show. But yeah, it has been a clown show.
But the first time around, Jacoby Brissett against Tyler Huntley. This time, it's what everybody was.
That's my tugboat. Okay.
It was what everybody was expecting Tua against. I'm the only one that can really keep it straight and narrow and focused. Drake May, Tua Tagovailoa, what we were all looking for.
Yeah.
And Drake May's really been playing pretty well up to this point.
Oh, I don't think we even knew back then that he was even going to be an option for this game.
No, it was after that game, he got his first start.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of excitement about this kid. Tua on Wednesday gave him pure props. So this is, if you were just going to tune into this game, you didn't have a dog in the fight, this would be a cool a game to watch, just to see a young rising quarterback take on Tua Tagovailoa and see where that. But you're right, totally different matchup. Yeah. And even McDaniels. I mean, how do you prepare? Do you look at the old tape? I mean, what's the game plan here?
Well, I think we know what Jacoby is. He's not really of a threat outside the pocket anymore.
Right.
Drake May is young, athletic. I love you, Jacoby. Don't be mad I'm saying this. But he's more versatile than Jacoby is.
Yeah.
And, the past 4 weeks, his passer rating has improved each week.
Yeah, there's a lot of dropsies in there, right? Yeah. So maybe not his fault.
It's one of those things where, it's tough for the Patriots. They don't really have a consistent weapon to throw to. Obviously, Demario Douglas is starting to catch on a little bit. Kendrick Bourne was supposed to be the other guy out there. He really hasn't produced as much as they would have hoped so. So I think for Drake May, it's kind of trying to get his tight end involved, the Hunter Henrys of the world involved here, Ramondre Stevenson out of the backfield. So I think for him, it's kind of been tough sledding, but to see how well he's been doing with the limited weapons that he has been doing has been pretty impressive.
So many passionate Patriot fans around here, too. If you go to any of the bars on Sunday in Palm Beach County, you're going to see a lot of Patriots fans, a lot of Dolphins fans.
Those damn Yankees.
And the Pats fans, I mean, God love, they had years and years and years of Tom Brady and winning championships and stuff like that, and they are excited that a guy like Drake May is getting his beak wet here.
Yeah, it certainly could be a future rivalry between, the Dolphins and the Patriots for years to come, kind of be reinvigorated, because it was always consistently, like you said, Tom Brady on the Patriots end, but for the Dolphins, I mean, he saw a plethora of quarterbacks that he was facing. So This could be very interesting. And this is kind of all the stuff that I talked about this week.
With Matt Damon. Matt Damon?
Ben Affleck, actually.
He was one of the Boston guys.
Yeah, one of the. Not even close. Nicole Menner works at our Sinclair station up there in New England. We kind of talked about, obviously this matchup. And
that was my third pick.
What this team has looked like. Right, that was your third pick, totally. With Drake May at the helm, but, with this defense for the Patriots, kind of, not up to performance with Gerard Mayo at the helm. So take a listen. It's been a lot of change since the last time we spoke, of course. These are two very much different looking teams. After the last time we faced each other, Drake May got his first start. And from there, this past week, it was a close one against the Rams, but you guys lost on his interception that kind of sealed the game for the Rams. What were your takeaways from that matchup?
Yeah, well, I think aside from that late game interception, the offense has really started to come together, and really it was the defense in that game that's the reason the Patriots lost. But I think especially week to week, with Drake May continuing to show improvement every game that he's starting, and that was definitely the case on Sunday. The offense was finally really moving the ball. They had a great passing game going, which is something that we haven't really been able to say here, especially earlier in the season when Jacoby Brissett was starting. So I think we're seeing a ton of development and progress from Drake May. The receivers are maybe still struggling a bit, or they're having kind of back-breaking penalties in important moments. So still a lot of self-inflicted wounds, but overall a lot of promise and positivity, I think, surrounding Drake May.
Now, up to this point, of course, watching him play and continue to build starts as we go through the season, what's one thing you think he can improve on in his game to sort of take it to the next level?
Yeah, I think ball security is probably the biggest thing that he's focusing on, and the turnovers. He was strip sacked in the game that resulted in the Rams capitalizing and scoring a touchdown. So ball protection is certainly a huge thing. He'd be the first to say that. And then obviously the interceptions. I think, you look at that game-ending interception the other day, and a lot of debate over whose fault it was. Was it Demario Douglas's fault for not turning his head, or was it Drake May's fault for throwing it? Obviously, May is the guy that takes ownership, and I think he probably wants to really clean that up. But he's been really showing a lot of progress in face of the blitz the other day. Like, there was one pass where he just kind of stood in there, stood strong, and didn't panic. So those have certainly been big improvements over the last few weeks.
And you talked about briefly the defense, how they weren't really able to, kind of hold their playmakers back for the Rams. Of course, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp each having over 100 yards. With Gerard Mayo being the head coach and, having that defensive background, what's it going to take for this defense to kind of, get back on track?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're overthinking things a little bit because it was really puzzling to not see Christian Gonzalez shadowing Puka or Cooper Kupp throughout the game when we've seen him do that on teams' top receivers so many times this season. So I think it just comes back down to like, stop trying to play chess, not checkers, stop overdoing it and overthinking it. Put your best cornerback on the best receiver. So hopefully against the Dolphins, especially with guys like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, we get back to seeing Gonzo shadowing those two. I know Tyreek Hill has had great praise for Christian Gonzalez in the past, and that's kind of turning into a fun matchup to watch. But yeah, the defense has to get it back together. Obviously, they didn't really force the Rams to be one-dimensional. They kind of let up a lot of yards on the ground, in addition to obviously letting Matthew Stafford torch the secondary. So they've had good moments this season. Against the Bears, they were outstanding. They had 9 sacks. They need to get pressure back on the quarterback. There was never really any moments in the game when Matthew Stafford looked uncomfortable. So I think just get back to the basics and stop trying to overthink things so much.
Now you talk about the matchup with the Patriots defense against Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, those Dolphins playmakers, but I'm curious to know, what matchups do you like from the Patriots offensive side against this Dolphins defense this week?
Well, the issue is, with the Patriots O-line, and I feel like in recent weeks, especially looking at the last game, I feel like the run game hasn't really been able to get going. So if we could see that get going a little bit, that would be nice, because it's been a bit since we've seen that happen. I think it was a little more successful earlier in the season. I would like to see Ramondre Stevenson kind of put together a big game against the Dolphins, but also the receivers have really been having a lot of drop issues. So that's been a problem. I think Kendrick Bourne, he was benched in Chicago and then came back out Sunday against the Rams and had a really good bounce back game. So I think that him and Drake May are kind of starting to work on that connection, and I think we could see that carry over into Miami.
And then on the flip side, with this Dolphins offense, what's it going to take for the Patriots defense to be able to contain them in any way, whether it's shutting down one part of the game or just kind of making Tua rush himself on those passing plays?
Yeah, well, I think Tua, I'm pretty sure, is undefeated against the Patriots in his career. I want to say it's 6-0. So this team has not had great success against Tua, and I can't remember the stat. I don't think they've been too successful when playing down in Miami either. Obviously, I think their focus this week will be not letting Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle go off, especially after this past game. So, I think we'll see Christian Gonzalez back on Tyreek Hill. And then shutting down the run, because Miami has good backs, and I think teams have kind of been attacking the Patriots D-line a bit because they know that's a point of weakness. The Patriots are a little weak in depth there. Dietrich Wise was out last week. They have a new guy who didn't really have much of an impact. I think it's Yannick Ngakoue. And then Christian Barmore made his return last week. He's obviously a little rusty, hasn't played all season, but it would be nice to see if he could come in and make an impact. So I think it's just they need to piece a few things together. They have the guys to do it. It's just about putting it together on the field and showing some cohesiveness.
All right, another week. You know what that means, Evanson.
Game time!
Yeah.
I don't have a theme. Should I do a theme?
Well, you've been hyping it up, so.
What's the name of the game?
It's called North versus South.
It's Max with a new game called North versus South. It's the coolest game ever. It'll come right out of his mouth, and we'll play along with Max Shepman too. Come along for the ride. You'll be glad that you do. How's that?
Honestly, that was pretty impressive, dude.
Off the dome.
Off the dome. I'm a freestyler.
I can't confirm. He had no idea what the name of this game was, and he just made that up. Wow.
Very good.
Obviously, we're changing this to a singing podcast.
That was the nerdiest freestyle rap ever in the history of mankind.
Hey, I appreciate it.
It wasn't a rap.
America just got to listen and watch your performance.
And now we get to play the game.
Snoop Dogg turned around his chair on America's Got Talent.
Right, there you go.
All right, so North versus South. We're at four different categories here. I'm going to give you 2 different things.
Okay.
Both of the options I give you, one obviously represents the South, Florida. Mm-hmm. The other one represents things that happen in Massachusetts. So here we go. The first one, right?
Okay. You go first so I can get a feel for it.
There we go.
Okay.
Bigger historical significance. Walt Disney or Paul Revere?
Paul Revere.
Paul Revere, because the British are coming.
Yes, much bigger than Walt Disney.
Hey, listen, I know a lot of adult people that live and die by the Mickey Mouse ears, dude.
Very scary.
Ask
But
anybody under 8, and the answer would be Walt Disney. Or maybe Mickey Mouse.
Hey, to be fair, if it wasn't for Paul Revere, we'd be having tea and crumpets right now. So.
Yeah,
correct.
Some mincemeat pie.
So you're in agreement.
Are you a Paul Revere guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I revere him.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Number 2, Fenway Park or the Orange Bowl?
Well, the original Orange Bowl has such great fuzzy memories, right? Does not exist as the Orange Bowl anymore.
Right.
So Fenway's still kicking.
Yeah.
Fenway's still there. I mean, it's there. You can go to it.
But I feel like in that market, though, it's like Fenway is not going anywhere. It's tough for Miami because, you obviously different stadiums, teams, things like that.
Yeah. Miami's kind of like Vegas. Like, they'll just tear something down and something new goes up, and it's just as good. Like, the Guitar Hotel
That's fair.
is, now the most esteemed building in South Florida.
Or maybe I should have put that instead.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go, unfortunately, Fenway.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Fenway's just got the everything. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hundreds of years there, right?
I like that. No, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. You ready? We got clam chowder or we got gator tail.
I've never had gator tail. So
Really?
By default, I'm going to have to go clam chowder.
Wow. All right.
Gator tail.
Yeah, I'm
My
a big
staple
gator-
food.
Absolutely. I'm a
Staple
big
food.
gator tail guy.
Yeah.
You got to try it, dude.
You could, if you would have said
It tastes like chicken.
if you would have said clam chowder
Easy
or like a Shula burger, I would have been like, all right, let me get that Shula burger, no question.
All right.
Yeah. Gator tail.
But I also feel like the gator tail is more Florida-esque.
Sure.
The Florida
Did you
man-esque.
catch your own gator tail?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's actually a big pond next to the station. I just jump in and I try to Steve Irwin it.
I've seen it.
Okay.
You haven't seen him do that?
No, I haven't.
I'm on the Florida man games.
All right.
When we go for
All right, so
lunch,
we're going,
you and
we're
Matt.
going
Gator
clam
tail.
chowder here.
Gator
we're
tail.
split. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Last one. Here we go.
All right.
Fall foliage or snowbirds. So obviously you can travel up north, see the fall, the leaves falling, or would you rather be here with the snowbirds and enjoy the palm trees and everything else?
I love fall foliage, but I do also like South Florida this time of the year. It's the best weather. I still get a fall feel, even though I don't see the visual fall foliage.
I know this podcast is being recorded on Wednesday, but for Friday, lows in the
See, I
low
love that.
40s.
Dude, I love...
I'm actually going to hate that. I'm going to be honest.
I thought you said I'm going to go to Haiti.
No, I'm going to hate that.
As a missionary,
Yeah,
Don't go on Spirit Airlines.
As for your thing, I'd probably have to go fall foliage. I
All right.
would.
All right.
I would.
I'll go snowbirds.
all right.
Just the word snow makes me happy, and I love being down here where there's, in fact, snow up there, and there's people just loving the cold front of
That's
72
that
degrees
very northern
down here. Yeah.
A bit of a change of pace here. Not a team that we're typically talking about, this often. But of course, this week, FAU football head coach Tom Herman fired,
Oh,
and they're looking for their replacement.
And the replacement will not be who?
Ray Lewis.
It will not be Ray Lewis.
He was definitely in the talks.
That
It's
lasted
fucked up.
5 minutes.
yeah, yeah. It was so great because early in the morning, you saw Adam Schefter tweet it, and 98% of the time, Adam Schefter knows what the hell this guy's talking about.
And likely by the
But
time this
you-
podcast is being listened to on Saturday, we're all proven wrong, and Ray Lewis
Yeah,
is the new head coach.
But you reached out to your FAU sources, I reached out to my FAU sources, and they were like, yeah, this probably has 0% chance of happening.
Right.
So it's tough because
He has no college head coaching experience.
right.
which
I don't
is-
even think he's done high school.
Interesting.
Has he
I
done
think
high
he's been
school?
an assistant. He's in if he lives in Palm Beach County, if I'm not mistaken. I know his son, obviously.
Well, his son
Right.
played at
Yeah.
FAU for a year,
Yeah.
transferred
Yeah,
during the Lane Kiffin
you
years.
could be right. But
Yeah, transferred for the
But
Lane Kiffin years. then
nevertheless, the
transferred out.
resume isn't there for coaching.
No, and I think to get into the college level, you have to go through the grind. It's not just show up one day. You got to go out and recruit kids. I mean, you saw even with Lane, yes, Lane is a big name, but the work that he did to get some of the prospects and even the prospects that he didn't get
Yeah.
because it was Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
I think FAU needs to find the perfect fit and not necessarily go out for the big name for this hire.
Definitely not rush it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what they do because Boca Raton is a sexy place to want to come. You could lure those type of names here.
Again,
so it's tempting.
Look at the Lane Kiffin era.
Yeah. So, we're getting the wrap up from Branson. He wants to get out of here.
Moving back down south, what's our prediction for this game this weekend? Well, what scores do we got?
FAU game? I would know them.
We're going down south to Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins Patriots. I think it's going to be another battle of tight ends. The Hunter Henry and the Jonnu Smith. I think you'll see a couple touchdowns from those guys. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I have given this no thought. I think it's no question the Dolphins are going to win this game. They're too hungry. They're too more advanced with their offense compared to the Patriots, in my opinion. And I think they win it by 6 or 7.
Oh, that close.
It'll be close still because that's what always happens.
That's fair.
Yeah, it'll be fourth quarter. We're still going to be sweating it out, and then they're going to pull.
I know you and I tweeted over the weekend about how bad our score predictions are. We still got to go through the tape and see. We're probably like 0 for 100.
They didn't end up being that bad, but early on I texted you.
Just real quick, I think the Dolphins' offense is evolving into the more possession-driven drives. That takes away the capability of New England to have the ball more. Obviously, we need to see more improvement from the Dolphins' defense because they can't give up the sustained drives. I'm going to go 28-17 Miami.
Okay.
And I do like I'm going to change mine to Dolphins by 10.
By 10?
Yeah, 10. I'll say Dolphins by 10, but no score will be given.
Okay, good.
Lame.
Yeah.
I know what it is in my head. But
I'm going to go 33-20 Dolphins.
Oh, a little higher scoring. All right.
But we all agree the Dolphins are winning this week, and we're going to be playing that song. Play us out, man.
Oh, well, you want me to play it again?
I want you to play us out.
I wasn't ready for it.
We're going to imagine it. We want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 11 of the Best Florida Sports Podcast. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts or watch us on YouTube.
They've just listened and watched. Why are you telling them where to listen and watch? They're watching already.
There's past episodes they can go back.
We got it.
Past episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. Soak it in. Get used to it.
We'll see you next week.
If this goes from this podcast directly into the next one, it'll just seem like a seamless edit. It'll be
like a great TikTok.
Yeah, because they're winning. See you next week.
Miami Dolphins.
Best Florida Sports Podcast drops every Thursday morning. Listen on your favorite platform or watch on YouTube.